Hello guys, so I recently watched the new Spider-Verse film and I have to say, it's a really good film. I highly recommend you go see it and check it out. And I wanted to just make a quick video detailing some of the influences that I noticed, so I hope you'll enjoy that. So, while a lot of the story in this film is completely original, it is a comic book film, and as with most comic book films, a lot of these stories are adapted from the comics, with some liberties taken here and there. Today I'm going to try and provide the many comic influences that went into this film, as well as attempt to explain what's been changed. The video will essentially be one big spoiler for the whole film, as well as the many comics that I will be discussing. So anything between like 2009 and 2015 is open game here in the comics. So, well, as long as it's Spider-Man related, probably. So, as long as you've read all that, I feel, I probably won't be spoiling anything for you. But I would recommend seeing the film before watching this, because I will be spoiling the film, and that's not good. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's really good. So let's get started. So first off, we have the namesake of the film, Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse was a comic event published between November 2014 and February 2015. It was a big crossover event that saw multiple alternate Spider-Men, Spider-Women, and other Spider beings teaming up against a powerful family of Spider Hunters known as the Inheritors. These Inheritors aim to destroy every Spider-Person in the multiverse to prevent a prophecy foretelling their defeat at the hands of the Spiders from coming true. There's actually surprisingly little from the Spider-Verse comics and that made it into the Spider-Verse. Although the basic theme of a crossover between several alternate versions of Spider-Man hailing from several different universes is present in the film. Out of the few Spider-People introduced in the film, two actually debuted in the Spider-Verse event, and these two would be Spider-Gwen and Penny Parker. Spider-Gwen debuted in Edge of Spider-Verse number 2. She was introduced as Gwen Stacy from Earth 65, and she had a similar origin to the original Peter Parker, having been bit by the radioactive spider instead of Peter. In this universe, Peter ends up creating and injecting himself with lizard formula and is defeated by Spider-Gwen, who accidentally kills him in the encounter. This storyline parallels Peter Parker's experience in the Death of Gwen Stacy storyline from the original 616 Spider-Man comics, where Peter tries to save Gwen but fails, and it's even implied that Peter might have been directly responsible for her death, as while she's falling, he catches her with a spider fluid, and there's a snapping noise. So it's possible that Spider-Man, in saving her, was not careful enough and ended up accidentally snapping her neck himself. It's been a point of contention for many years. Spider-Gwen's origin in the film appears to be the same origin she has in the comics, though the circumstances under which she meets both Miles and Peter are quite different. She's able to create a close friendship with Miles over the course of the film, whereas in the comics, the two actually interact very little until the Sitting in a Tree storyline, which was published between March 2017 and May 2017. And that event took place in the pages of Spider-Man Volume 2, numbers 12 through 14, and Spider-Gwen Volume 2, numbers 16 through 18, and saw the two teaming up to find Miles' father. And over the course of the event, the two became very close and even shared a kiss at the end. Penny Parker, aka SP//DR, also debuted in the Spider-Verse event. Penny's from Earth 14512 and debuted in Edge of Spider-Verse number 5. Penny's father was the original pilot of the SP//DR suit, and upon his death, her Aunt May and Uncle Ben informed her that she was the only other person who could pilot the suit. She allowed the radioactive spider inside the suit, which has control over half of the CPU, to bite her, thus forming a bond with it and becoming the new SP//DR. Following this, Penny became a crime fighter and 5 years later participated in the Spider-Verse event. Her backstory, once again, seems to be the same, although her design is quite different. They seem to have gone for a much cuter and a much more chibi and anime-inspired design for Penny. The driving plot of this film seems to be completely original for the most part. Kingpin's plan to open a portal to other dimensions to bring his son and wife back is not based on any comic book arc that I'm aware of, although it has bits and pieces from other things. Kingpin did have a wife named Vanessa and a son named Richard. In the main 616 universe, Richard teamed up with a guy named Sammy Silk in an effort to assassinate his father, the Kingpin. He was eventually killed by Vanessa herself. Vanessa then later contracted a terminal illness and died, though she was resurrected a few times after by people trying to use her to take down the Kingpin. They did not die in a car crash, as was shown in the film, and he did not try to find alternate versions of them from other universes. He was also not the one to kill Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, in fact, having died himself in a comic published 2 years prior to the death of the Spider-Man conclusion. While we're on the topic of the Ultimate Universe, let's talk about Miles Morales. Miles Morales' original introduction was in the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, in Ultimate Comics Fallout number 4. His origin was much more streamlined in the film than it was in the comics. Miles was bitten by a special radioactive spider with the number 42 on its abdomen. In the film, the spider seems to come from nowhere and appears very suddenly as if by pure chance. But the spider's origin is actually much more important than that in the comics. The spider was one of the at least 42 experiments created by Norman Osborn to create the spider that bit Spider-Man. While Miles' uncle Aaron Davis, aka the Prowler, was stealing technology from Oscorp, he unknowingly brought the spider back with him. During a visit to Aaron's apartment, Miles is bit by the spider. In the film, Miles and Uncle Aaron go underground and create some graffiti art. This is a much more fun scene and allows for a nice moment to see the two's relationship and show a strong bond between them. The only issue I see with that is that it makes the spider's appearance seem completely random, as it has nothing to do with Aaron's secret supervillain life. Though it is possible that Aaron spends a lot of time down there, it would still be quite a jump to assume that Aaron brought the spider there himself. Miles Morales' best friend Genki Lee plays a very minor role in this film. They seem to have almost no relationship aside from being roommates. Genki in the comics is incredibly supportive to Miles and is the first person to learn about Miles' superpowers. He finds them super cool and encourages Miles to use them to go out and help people and become Spider-Man. They were friends prior to Miles' acceptance into the Brooklyn Vision's private academy and have remained friends since. They also had a third roommate named Judge at the academy, whom they had to keep Miles secret from. Genki also has a much different personality than the film. In the film, he is shown to be very studious and quiet. In the comics, he is outspoken, nerdy, and a bit socially awkward. I also believe that in the film, he's not actually named. They don't actually give him a name. He's just a minor character that is just Miles' roommate and never really has any sort of role in the film at all, even though he's very important in the comics. The film's portrayal of Uncle Aaron's death is quite different, though in both cases it is a turning point for Miles as a person. In the comics, Aaron figures out that Miles is the new Spider-Man and attempts to blackmail Miles into working with him to take out his criminal competition. Miles' father, Jefferson Davis, is known for hating superheroes, and Uncle Aaron threatens to tell Miles' father that he is Spider-Man if he does not help him. Miles begrudgingly accepts and assists him in taking out Scorpion. Eventually, Miles decides to fight back and tells Aaron to leave. Aaron instead fights Miles in a climactic battle that results in Aaron's shock gauntlets exploding and him dying. Before his death, Aaron tells Miles that he's very much like him. In both the film and the comics, Miles blames himself for Uncle Aaron's death, though in the films, Aaron comes off as a little more sympathetic towards Miles, deciding not to kill Miles after all, resulting in him being shot by the Kingpin. In the comics, he is much more heartless. In both, Miles' father blames Spider-Man for the death of his brother. Towards the end of the film, we see Jefferson learn to forgive Spider-Man and respect him for what he did to save everyone. In the comics, Jefferson is a lot more stubborn. Sometime after Aaron's death, Venom appears to kill Spider-Man. Thinking that Jefferson Davis is Spider-Man, he attacks and ends up severely injuring him, so he's taken to the hospital. Venom then appears at the hospital and Miles arrives and defeats Venom. When the police arrive, they open fire on the defeated Venom host, and in this shootout, Miles' mother is mortally shot by a stray bullet and killed. This event prompts Miles to give up being Spider-Man for a while. Eventually, he is convinced to be Spider-Man again, but during the Cataclysm event, in the Ultimate Comics, Miles reveals his identity to his father. Blaming Spider-Man for both the death of his brother and wife, Jefferson Davis is unable to move past his hatred of Spider-Man and is even more hurt to discover that Spider-Man is his own son. The film presents none of this, and Jefferson forgives Spider-Man with relative ease, although in this universe his wife is still alive and well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I decided to split it into 2 parts because it was taking a very long time to make, and I've got about 20 minutes of stuff all together to talk about, and I decided I could just put that into 2 10-minute videos and just release part 1 that I have finished right now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Look forward to part 2 if you enjoyed this. I'll be making that soon, and in the meantime, you can like, comment, subscribe, do all that. You can check out some of my other videos. They're not much related to this. This is sort of its own thing. I did a lot of Let's Plays in the past, and I've got a lot of videos about that if you want to check that out. Sadly, I don't have much else that's like comic book related or anything, so yeah, but hopefully, you know, I'll have a few videos like this up eventually. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Later.